Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about Chapter 3, Identifying Target Audience. So as we were talking about with goals and strategy, just as important it is to develop that roadmap, it's also just as important to develop a target audience for your social media platform. And really the target audience is just getting the right message to the right person, and that's partially correct. So really it's getting to the right person to get the right content at the right place, at the right time, in the right format, in the right language, and on the right device. So it truly is a challenge because there are so many other characteristics that go into developing a target audience as compared to what it was 10 years ago. So the process in social media marketing, the most common characteristic marketers use to identify and profile target markets are demographics, geographics, and lifestyle or psychographics, so behavioral data. Identifying and segmenting the target market is the key marketing activity. Rarely does the marketer ever want to reach the entire target market, rather with one campaign or one message. They'd rather segment it or develop a customized target or develop a customized message for each target audience. So in digital marketing, it's possible to fine-tune targeting beyond the entire market segment to a small target audience. So often it's classified by behavior that would be essentially receptive to a particular promotional message. So the nature of the target audience, within that, there are many ways to do this, but using personas has become a popular option among digital marketers of all kinds. And developing those personas allows marketers to develop a very customized message. So marketers have increasingly recognized that personas are worth the time and effort it takes to develop them. So some basic essential activities, as displayed in the next figure, in developing a media plan is to reach a selected audience. The first step is messaging objective. So you'll see through here, messaging objective, which would be the demographics, the lifestyles, different media uses, so develop some of their behaviors, and then to create personas for each segment. Then to develop the actual media plan to each targeted segment, and then optimize that. So again, just to elaborate a little bit within this, the media mix includes the social platforms that will be used in the campaign. Each medium must have a specific schedule, and the campaign effectiveness must be monitored and evaluated. Again, those contingencies that allow a business to be very flexible if something is working or if it's not working. And then the final step in the media plan is to optimize the postings, as we just discussed, on each social channel so they will be best attended to by the target audience. Each channel has its own best days and times of the day to post, which we'll talk about with Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, as well as Twitter. So, big data. So, big data expands options for identifying target audiences. So, you've probably heard the term big data. All right. Well, how do you interpret that? All right. If you were going to say massive amount of data that is available from a digital clickstream, you would be correct. But today, the definition has broadened to include data from audio and video files. Because as you think, when you're on a social media platform, there's always going to be text, video, audio, interaction, animation. There's all different types of data that is being mined throughout that, and marketers need that information to essentially create a very customized platform or customized message to their audience. So there are many ways marketers can use this wealth of data and the insights. All right. So behavioral targeting. So this is based on purchase behavior or behaviors that convey intent, like search behaviors. Connection targeting. This is based on a type of connection to your brand page, a Facebook fan, for example. Interest targeting, based on self-reported interests. Lookalike targeting. This identifies people like the ones you have been successful targets in the past. Custom targeting. That allows the marketer to upload his or her own data and email list, for example. And then location targeting. This is based on the location provided in the user's profile or by geo-targeting, which determines the user's current location using their smartphone or some other type of mobile device. So in looking at these types of targeting, there are two important warnings. All right. So the first is that not all platforms offer all the types of targeting listed, and some offer their own special targeting options. Secondly, is that advertisers usually receive new targeting options first, with brand pages receiving them at a later date. Perfect. So a couple target audience descriptions. So a couple pieces here that I'd just like to mention um, that the text uses is some different ways of targeting. Facebook users over the age of 55. All right, why would that be important? That also belong to a travel interest group. All right, so again, tour packages, travel agencies could use that information to make a business-oriented decision. Instagram users who post from Los Angeles beaches over Labor Day. Again, local restaurants. All right, again, they can use that type of information to determine what their crowd would be or what their audience would be. Also, brand page fans who visit one of the brand's retail stores. So special limited time in-store coupon offers. So again, retailers can also use this for exclusive promotions or coupons for their brand likes or for their specific audience. So the persona development cycle. So many experienced marketers use personas, but with that, the dilemma is how do we develop personas from scratch? So there's many possible ways to create personas, including intuition, trial and error, costly market research, but only a few have been modeled and studied academically. We're going to talk about that, which is one is the three-step persona development approach. So step one, identify persona roles. This is listing all relevant personas by role. Number two, list needs and situational triggers. From the persona's perspective, defining concerns, symptoms, and problems. And then three, create messaging objectives. So this is suited to each persona's needs. So when you develop who the persona is, what their needs are, and then you create a message to resolve that need. So during this stage, it is important to be very specific and think of as many potential buyer roles as possible. So a very good example that they do mention is JetBlue. And JetBlue actually experienced with social media marketing, as we discussed in an earlier chapter, chapter 1. The basic persona that they use to guide their social media marketing effort, though, is a low-budget traveler who wants the comfort at an affordable price. So one tweet that they used to target this audience was to fly like a boss but pay like an intern. And it gave a special link to a page with a $49 one-way airfare. The persona describes their customer as younger than the typical airline traveler, reachable by social media. So again, they were able to take their persona and start from a large base, and then you start essentially uncovering the onion and digging deeper and deeper and deeper until you have a very, very specific persona with a very specific target audience whose message is going to have a lot of impact with. So in other words, once a social media marketer knows what information a buyer will need before making a purchase, it is possible to design a social media strategy that provides a buyer with the relevant information, making the individual more likely to buy the product. All right, now if we talk about the Forrester Social Technographics ladder, so this is essentially the personas within social media. So the social technographics profile uses demographics such as age, location, and gender to group social media users into personas based on their social media activities. So these personas are represented as rungs on the ladder. So as you can see, creators, conversationalists, critics, collectors, joiners, spectators, and inactives. So if we talk about this, so creators are ones that actually create. They develop a blog. They are uploading video. They are writing articles. Conversationalists are ones that participate. So they would comment on different blog posts or Facebook posts. Critics are ones that evaluate and comment on content produced by creators and conversationalists. They're going to post product ratings, reviews, comments on blogs. They're going to be more probably more opinionated. Collectors are going to be ones that save favorites on bookmarking. They're going to be, the ones that the pins, right, on Pinterest, where they, start creating their own pin board. Joiners are going to interact on social networks such as Facebook, LinkedIn. They're going to be ones that maintain a profile on multiple sites. Spectators, again, 70% of social media users are spectators. I think a lot of us could probably fall into this. These are ones that just read the blogs. They look at their timelines, they read tweets, they read customer ratings, but they don't necessarily create social media content. And inactives are internet consumers who are not involved in social media. Excuse me. And as you can see, 17% are inactive. Amazing, considering that inactive number was probably a lot higher 5 or 10 years ago. So the social technographic ladder not only reveals what people are doing on the social web, but perhaps just important where they are doing it. So Forrester actually offers a free social technographic profile tool to help brands understand where their target audience falls on the technographic ladder. This would be a great tool to use in your final project. So as you develop your company and you develop who that target audience is for that company, a great extra piece to put into that summary would be actually utilizing this profile tool. So again, completing the social media plan again for each audience segment. So once personas and associated messages and objectives are complete, then the social media marketer must, one, choose the media mix. What are they going to do? Schedule each post on each platform. This is one of those pieces where it can become a graveyard if you don't have the discipline to actually schedule and post on a regular basis. Execute the schedule, all right? Goes right in hand with that. And then follow the reaction to the post. So again, it's not just a one-way dialogue on social media. It is a two-way dialogue, and that's what makes social media so unique but also so effective. Optimizing posts and post timing. So again, now this is going to go into various specifics based on what your social media platform is. So the first piece is, what is optimize? All right. So again, they're going to talk a little bit about social search engine optimization. I'm gonna go over the description of it real briefly. SEO stands for search engine optimization. It is a process of getting traffic from a free, organic, editorial, or natural search result on search engines. So to put all this into perspective, wherever your company or your brand ends up on Google, that is an example of search engine optimization. And the different things that you do on the back end, so the different details that you put into your website or into your brand page, different pieces like that, or how many people that would visit your web page, those are all going to go into the equation that creates that search engine optimization that then gradually rises your brand or your web page to the top of that search result. So if someone searches for razors, or someone searches for colleges, all right, what comes up first? Is it University of Nebraska at Kearney? Is it Gillette razors? Whatever it might be. That's the piece of brands and products and services want to be at the top of that search engine result. So to again top onto that, how do we optimize social content? So there's not a one size fits all, like I told you. Facebook, for instance, there's going to be things such as comments and likes and pieces like that. Brand pages, like I said, is going to be on visits and search engine words. It's going to be on meta tags, hashtags, different things like that are going to go into it. Now, one thing that we can control is our behaviors on our different platforms. So Facebook, for example, recommends that it actually shows that the most brand posts are made on weekdays, with the best days being Thursday and Friday. So best is measured by Facebook engagement. So who is actually commenting or liking pages, and the number of viewers shared, clicked, linked, all of that. The best times is between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. So the infographic, again, this infographic here is inferring that essentially less people want to be at work, the more that they're going to want to be on Facebook. Therefore, obviously, that Thursday, Friday time frame times 1 to 3, people probably start checking out of work. Twitter. So tweets, weekends are best, Saturday and Sunday. The reason appears to be the difference between business audience who are most engaged during the week and the consumer audience who are most engaged with tweets on the weekends. And the best times, 5 to 6 p.m. Pinterest shows actually a different pattern. Saturdays are the best day, and the best time is evening between 8 and 11 p.m., with activity being the greatest at 9 p.m. However, if you're in the fashion industry, the optimal time to post is Friday at 3 p.m. So, is it reasonable to surmise that fashion at 3 p.m. on Friday is correlated with weekend shopping plans? Could be. But again, I mean, these are all things that are very good when it comes to understanding, again, just consumer behaviors and targeting that audience. Now, this is with Google Plus. I do want to touch on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, with a primarily professional audience, finds Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays the best days to post, while posts made between 10 and 11 a.m. on Tuesdays garner the most clicks and shares, which would make sense. LinkedIn is a much more business-oriented um, social media platform, and again, Tuesdays, early in the morning, people are probably more engaged with their professional career at that time. Let's hope. So, targeting ads on social media platforms. So, attempting to keep the focus on targeting brand posts, not targeting advertising. So, first, there is a practical issue. Brand posts are owned media with no advertising costs. Ads on social media platforms are paid media, usually pay per click, PPC, advertising or sponsored posts. So, the result is that brand pages generally have a limited set of targeting options than do ads. All right, so this is something about your personal branding efforts. A couple of things that I want to talk about with here is just the importance of LinkedIn. And this is going to be something we're going to talk about later on this semester, but LinkedIn is a very important piece for your personal brand, especially when it comes to connections, networking, job searches. There's a lot of different pieces that LinkedIn can help you with. So I will ask you to read through this. It's, let's see, page 51 through page 53 in your text. And the one piece I'll put on here is that LinkedIn groups forbid self-promotion. So again, LinkedIn is built upon bettering yourself essentially. So whether it be with motivational things that you might see on there, different business pieces when it regards to business news, self-development, things like that. You're not going to necessarily see a lot of promotion for necessarily brands or products. A lot of that is done on Facebook and Twitter and some of those different pieces. This is much more business to business or person to business with regard to that professional career. All right, so targeting ads and posts on social platforms. Let's just continue with this. So I thought this was very interesting. As of late 2015, Facebook is the only major platform that offers database targeting options to brand pages. So virtually all, however, offer targeting to advertisers. All right, so Facebook has the brand pages. The other platforms do not, but all platforms do offer targeting to advertisers. Twitter, for example, offers advertisers a number of targeting options. So Twitter can do keywords that are used in either Twitter searches or in tweets. Twitter also offers advertisers information on behavior targeting that uses data from Twitter business partners about online and offline product-related behaviors. So very interesting around that Twitter really provides their advertisers with a lot of data and information. Pinterest is relatively new to advertising and only began to offer targeting in 2015. Pinterest advertises primarily in the form of promoted pins that you would probably see using Pinterest. Google Plus, I'll talk about it a little bit, but I also want to talk about the emojis. But I also want to talk about the hashtags. So hashtags has been something that, the search by hashtag has become a key feature on really all platforms. Twitter was probably the pioneer of that, as well as blog posts now and Facebook and even LinkedIn. So hashtags themselves have become an important source of analytics data, as well as the ideas for everyone from journalists to content marketers. In 2015, it became possible to access the trends in real time. So hashtags are, essentially help marketers to form communities of interest on visual platforms like Instagram and video platforms like short video sites like Vine. So since Instagram is owned by Facebook, Vine is owned by Twitter, it seems that hashtags have the potential to become another source of big data to be used for targeting purposes, just because they have that, again, Facebook and Twitter have your biggest audiences, with Facebook obviously being over 1 billion. So again, perhaps the most intriguing discovery and potential targeting item that has come along recently has been the emojis. So I'm not going to get into a lot of information on this, but I will say, in addition, that brands are developing their own emoji keyboards. An example of this would be the Baltimore Ravens. They announced that they had 53,000 downloads of their emoji keyboard. And you can see an example of that keyboard on page 55. So audience targeting on Facebook. So Facebook, through all of its iterations in which brands first found it necessary to develop profiles, then fan pages, and then were given the option to create brand pages. So that obviously have many more features than their personal pages. So they were kind of the pioneer, like I said, to go through that process of profile, fan page, now a brand page. And they give their companies or brands a lot more features on that brand page. Oh, excuse me. So a couple pieces to touch on here. Initial targeting options for the brand page were demographics, specifically gender, relationship status, educational status, age, location, language. They have evolved that, like I just said. Later, Facebook introduced targeting by interests that are supplied by the brand as they develop the post. So as a social media marketer types in interests, the tool makes suggestions that guides the marketer toward interests that are common in the Facebook community. So a lot of people have always said about social media marketing that we're not necessarily going to go find products, but products are actually going to find us. And this is on that track to that mentality where, again, advertisers or brands can actually search interests of what we type or what we comment and start providing messages and products toward what our interests are. So some best practices. Again, understanding what platforms are used, all right, by the target audience and how they are used. Again, that goes back just to our goals and strategies. Optimizing the content, creating a schedule, and actually executing that schedule. Using the targeting capabilities for each platform. There are advertising tools. There are different targeting tools specific to each platform. Again, Twitter is very detailed and provides a lot of that to their to their advertisers and to their brand pages. Monitoring the results. So you have to be flexible. You have to understand, again, if something is not working with content or wherever that engagement might be, then we need to be very flexible and very fluid to make changes to that to create a better overall marketing effectiveness. And that's it for chapter 3. Thank you guys for your attention.